Hello people and welcome to BTech. Right, today I've got my full review of the OnePlus 6, a great handset that I've been using for a good few weeks now, since I did my unboxing and first look. I think I've got to know the device quite well and I'm going to give my honest thoughts on it. Now, I know it's been out for a while and plenty of other reviewers have said a lot of nice things about it, so I'm going to guess that already you know that it's a solid device, especially when you consider its asking price of well below what some of the competitors are asking, in some cases with better specs. So where's the catch? Well, stick around for my full review of the OnePlus 6. First, check this out from one of our viewers, Nadim, who won the Sony Xperia XZ2 competition.
Hi guys, just to send you a big thank you for BTech and Direct Mobiles. Today I received my phone. It took a bit longer, but thank you guys. All the best. Great success to you and your channel. Bye.
Baš dobro videlo.
Thanks so much for that, Nadim. It's really appreciated, and I hope you really enjoy your new phone. Nadim's prize was provided by Direct Mobiles. They have 23 years of award-winning customer service. You can find a link to their website in the description below, where you'll find fantastic deals on all the latest handsets. Check them out at directmobiles.co.uk. I think this is a good looking phone. Well-placed fingerprint scanner with a dual camera system just above. Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and the back. However, no wireless charging is built into this phone. The screen is a notched 6.3-inch AMOLED display with a 1080 by 2280 resolution in a 19:9 aspect ratio, and it has a pixel density of 402 pixels per inch. We've got a bit of a chin here, which does kind of baffle me on notched phones. If you're gonna copy Apple on the top, then why not copy them at the bottom? But the bezeling is not too bad on this device, and it has a screen to body ratio of 83.8%. The screen shows just fine outside in the bright sunshine, and I find it to be a very nice viewing experience. Great for watching content. Okay, it's not quite got that wow factor that you get with, say, the Galaxy S9s, but it's very good. The decision to put an OLED screen in here was definitely the right one, although watching content is let down a little bit by the single and fairly tinny bottom firing speaker. On the left side there is a power button and an iPhone-like mute switch, while the volume rocker is placed on the right. Underneath there's a headphone jack, USB Type-C connection for charging, and a bottom-firing mono speaker, which is plenty loud, but one of the few flagships this year that's opted for a single speaker setup. So I thought I'd see how it would fare against the Galaxy A8 and its single side-firing speaker.
Punk domestic violence man, the quick to shoot the semen, stop acting like boys and be men. How you gon' win when you ain't right within? How you gon' win when you ain't right within? How you gon' win when you ain't right within? Come again. Yo, come again. The fresh drink, come again. And six drink, come again.
So the OnePlus not performing too well there against the mid-range Samsung. But this is forgiving when you consider the price and all the other good stuff that you get on this phone. The OnePlus 6 costs between £469 and £569, the cheaper model giving you 64GB of internal storage and 6GB of RAM, which is the same as what you'd get in the Galaxy S9 Plus, which costs £400 more at its time of launch. The top of the range costs £569 with 256GB of precious storage, and I say precious because there's no microSD expansion in here. You also get a, well okay, you're just showing off now, 8GB of RAM. Along with all this power you get rapid biometric scanners for both the fingerprint and the facial recognition, a very decent dual camera system with 16 and 20 megapixel cameras on the back, and a single 16 megapixel front facing camera. There's also 4K video recording at 60 frames per second, more on those bits later. All of these flagships run a Snapdragon 845 processor, with OnePlus's lightweight Oxygen operating system skin running over Android Oreo 8.1. The Oxygen OS is close to the base Android system, so there's minimal distractions. The more I use the OnePlus, the more I like the Oxygen UI. It's very clean and swift. The minimalist approach of the OnePlus is kind of winning me round. Swipe to the right to get a selection of customizable cards, things like your calendar, recent apps or newsfeed. Go into the customization options and there's enough here to keep things interesting, with gesture support if you fancy trying that out. It's not for me really, maybe the 3-finger screenshot, but I can't really see myself using much else here. Also, this is one of the handsets that can run the Android P beta, which is downloadable right now. The combination of this fresh OS and the raw power of the chipset means that this phone really does live up to the slogan that the makers have so proudly displayed on the box. The speed you need. The OnePlus 6 is fast. It's fast to boot, it's fast to navigate, it's fast to launch the apps. And even if you have like 3 weeks of apps open at the same time, thanks to the huge RAM options, it's still fast. But it's the fast charging from the special dash charge system that really makes this handset the Usain Bolt of the mobile phone world. I did mention in my unboxing that the OnePlus 6 had a not so nice power brick, and it's not the most compact solution that we've come across, but there is a very good reason for that. All of the circuitry needed for charging the OnePlus 6 is kept inside the chunky power adapter rather than onboard the phone. So it will never get hot whilst charging, but this technique also makes the OnePlus 6 the fastest charging phone around today. According to OnePlus, you can get a 60% charge in 35 minutes, and then it takes another 45 minutes to reach full charge. I find these times to be about right, but OnePlus claims that the 60% power is enough to get you through the day. Yeah, maybe if you looked at your phone to check the time, say twice that day, then I can see 60% working for you. But for most people who actually use their phones, I don't think 60% is getting you through the day at all. I might be going against the grain here, but the 3300 mAh battery that's in the OnePlus 6, for me, well, it doesn't last a day. Okay, admittedly, I do have fairly heavy usage, but this is definitely one of those phones that I find myself switching into power save mode just so I can give myself a chance of surviving the day. I guess the super fast charging does kind of make up for the disappointing battery life, but that means I've got to take this big ugly power brick out with me, and you need a red cable for it to work too. And also, because the circuitry is not in the phone, you won't be getting fast charging if you use another adapter. And now for my favourite part of any phone, the camera. The OnePlus camera is a 16 megapixel sensor that strangely has a secondary 20 megapixel sensor that's used for the portrait mode. This simulates the depth of field effect or blurry background. So when you hit the 2x button, you're really just getting a cropped image at 8 megapixels. Not sure why it needs to have such a big megapixel count just for that. Perhaps it was originally intended to be more than that. Maybe it would have pushed the cost up too much, who knows. But what I do know is that despite this anomaly, you get very nice images from this camera. Okay, so they're not quite on the same par as some of this year's heavy hitters, but they're not far behind either. The pictures are sharp and punchy, possibly a tiny bit oversaturated at times, but it is borderline. The dynamic range on the rear camera I'd say is above average, and the HDR seems to do a pretty good job of keeping the details in the shadows and the highlights without making the shot look too unnatural. But mostly it delivers impressive wide angle shots at 16 megapixels as well as the cropped 2x shots. 8 megapixels is still plenty to give you a nice detailed shot. You get a digital zoom up to 8 times, and it's a digital zoom. It's by no means the worst zoom I've seen. Working with the optical image stabilization, it allows you to at least get that long range shot. Like this one I got of Air Force One while it was at Stansted for Trump's UK visit. Yeah, I got lucky. As he came in, I left. With video, the OnePlus outperforms a lot of the competition. You get really nice optically stabilized video recording. There's probably a bit of digital stabilization in there too. And you get that stabilized video right up to the pin sharp 4K at a super smooth 60 frames per second. Slow motion video recording is here at 240 frames per second at 1080p, which looks fantastic. But if you don't mind a drop in resolution, you can crank up the frame rate to 480 frames per second at 720p. It always amazes me to see a £400 or £500 phone delivering frame rates that a £4,000 or £5,000 video camera can't, even if it is fairly low res. Okay, it's only really usable in very bright conditions and best outdoors on a sunny day. If conditions are right, it just looks amazing, and it will run for a full minute before the recording stops. Front camera quality is also pretty good. Another generous 16 megapixel sensor on the front. I mean, I'm not really one for selfies, but it does a good job in most cases. You get the dreaded beauty mode, which is actually fairly subtle, but it is easily switched off. Dynamic range on the front camera is noticeably lower than on the back, with it in most cases bleaching out the background quite heavily to get the correct exposure on the subject. And it seems to be even lower in portrait mode. Portrait shots on the front are okay. You get better shots with the rear thanks to the extra 20 megapixel sensor on the back. As a package, this phone gets so much right. There is always compromises to be made when making smartphones, and OnePlus have managed to find what feels like the perfect balance between specification, performance and cost. How could this phone not come recommended when it performs so well in all the important areas? The most important one being the price. If you want a no-nonsense, high-performance phone, then there's no better device for this money. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching my full review of the OnePlus 6. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. And like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for more videos like this coming your way very soon. I'm David Wildman, and this was BTech.